Hi everyone, good afternoon, rather good evening, and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our marathon for reading comprehension for the SLAT 22 examination. Can you hear and see me clearly, everyone? Am I clearly audible and visible? If you could quickly confirm that. Good evening, everyone. So, CLAT and ALET are done and dusted, and now we're waiting for the SLAT to happen. And this marks as a very important session because we are going to be practicing RCs today. We're going to be identifying tips and tricks to master this section as well. All right. Yes. Hi, everyone. Gitanshi and Megha, I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to you. All right. So let's quickly move ahead with the agenda of the class. Why the session? One, because SLAT is dominated with RCs and we're going to be practicing RCs in this session today. Now, let's talk about the English section of the SLAT paper. We know that we have 3 RCs usually coming up, 4 questions from each RC that you find in the SLAT paper. Very close to the SLAT pattern that we see. Obviously, the number of passages are less in SLAT. So that's what we're going to be targeting on. And since all of you are going to be sitting for this examination that's just around the corner, our agenda is to master reading comprehensions yet again, and this class will be divided into 2 sections. Okay, so the first is going to be a warm-up where I'll give you an extract merely to read. Okay, and there are no questions on that, but I'll be asking you to do something in that extract, and after we've done that warm-up, we'll be solving another reading comprehension with the questions that follow. So these are the 2 things we're going to be doing in the class today. Good afternoon, everyone. So that's the agenda of the class. Just a minute, please give me a second. 1 second. Yes, here we go. So this is what we're going to be doing. We have roughly 12 questions and all are RC based questions. And ultimately, this examination asks us to be very good with our reading skills. That exactly is what has happened with CLAT and ALET, and so is going to be happening with SLAT. It demands us to read very carefully. So the warm-up exercise that we're going to be doing, I'll be asking to read carefully, okay? And as I keep saying it again and again, okay, so that's the agenda of the class. We'll be doing 2 sessions. The first session is going to be testing your reading skills and how to revise effectively. The second session is going to happen later on, where we revise various types of questions asked in RC, which is going to happen later on. So today the agenda is this, okay? Now, okay, so what am I going to give you here? The first extract that I give you without questions is basically a test of your reading skills. What you have to do with that unseen passage is that I keep telling you, make a mind map. You remember, I keep repeating this phrase over and over again. I ask you to make a mind map. What do I want you to do here? When you have to make a mind map, you basically have to identify each paragraph and what does each paragraph talk about. Understand mind mapping carefully, okay? And we're going to be practicing mind mapping in today's class. So there are going to be possibly 5 paragraphs. If, for example, a passage is 5 paragraphs, for each paragraph, I'll have an idea in my mind. What does this paragraph talk about? What does this paragraph talk about? And then we would go on for each paragraph. And ultimately, we would make a bigger picture by linking these ideas. So, you have to practice mind map in this session. After you've read the entire passage, which does not have questions, the warm-up exercise, I will take you back to the passage. And for each page, you will tell me what lines were important and what lines should I have paid attention to. That's what I'm going to be asking you after the warm-up exercise is done. I'll repeat. Once you've read the passage, identify what lines are important, what lines I should have paid attention to. Not the entire paragraph, okay? And while I take you back to the passage, you will help me identify those lines that are important, where either mind mapping will help us, those will help us make a map, or answering questions can be easier if I pay attention to those lines. So those lines can help us with main idea of the passage. Those lines can help us with inference based questions. Those are going to be the lines you are going to be identifying. That will help you read effectively. Do I make sense, everyone? Send me a thumbs up very quickly. Okay, now there are questions. Karthik says, Karthik, I will either answer this question towards the end or on my Telegram channel. Okay. I will not address this question in this class today. Yes, Anshika. Yes, thank you. And for ALET as well. I think mind mapping worked brilliantly because most of the ALET passages they had a storyline. You could picturize the one on bees. You remember? The moment I say bees, what comes to my mind is my dog stepped on a bee. Did you get the joke? I'm going crazy. Back to the agenda, everyone. So yes, you understand that what we are supposed to do. So let me take you to the first extract. Read this. There are no questions that follow, but you have to identify lines that are important. Don't answer that right now. Answer that when I bring you back to the passage, okay? So this is our first page. Send me done when you're done reading this page, everyone. Changing the slide. Yes, Anshu, you got that right, my child. Changing the slide. Changing the slide. Changing the slide. So that's the last slide. Okay. Don't tell me what the main idea is. Probably you can think of it in your own head. Don't answer to me in the chat right now. Think of the main idea in your head in not more than 10 words. Okay. Just think. And then, okay, I'll give you 10 seconds for that. Think of the main idea in your head. Okay. You've thought of it. Okay. Now let's go back to the passage. Let's identify few lines that were important that I should have paid attention to while I was reading the page. Page number 1. Point out one line or 2 or 3 lines that you think were very, very important in the page. What was it? Lines, point it out for me. Which line do you think you should have paid attention to? Which line is important? Which line adds on to the main idea? Lines that you should not have missed out on? Point it out. People in the app, you can do it as well. Ashita, Tamanna, Firdaus, Arshi. Lines. Anyone? Important lines, guys, important lines. First para, last line. Okay, so that says the current status. Exactly. Absolutely. This line is very, very important. I buy your point. The first line as well. Exactly. Yes, Sneha. So Sneha, you found me on SLAT channel. How did your Ipmatrota go? Okay. Yes. So the first line, I'll highlight that. The first line is important. This line also is important. Now, see, when I say food security is one of the core indicators of economic development, I know that I am talking about food security and its importance, and that's related to economic development. But then there is a contradiction that shows here. The moment there's a contradiction, I have to be very, very attentive about that. The contradiction says that though food security is the core indicator of economic development and food security is dependent on our soil, the current health of our soil is worrisome. So the moment I bring out a negative aspect of it, because till this time we were talking in a generic sense, a negative connotation is pointed out, a very important line. Exactly. Okay, first line. To improve food security, it is required to maintain soil fertility. Okay. First line, first para, last line, and second para, last line. Let's see if the second para, last line is important. About 1/3 is already degraded alarmingly. Only till this part it can be an important line. All of this is numbers and that is irrelevant for us. So probably paying attention to this fact that almost 1/3 of the earth soil is degraded. It's alarming. Can I also say this line is barely an addition to this situation? Yes. So this paragraph is only an extension of this idea. I think there are only 2 lines that are important in the whole page, and these are these 2 lines. This paragraph is merely and a continuation of an extension of the last line written here. Page number 2, everyone. Important lines here. No, Shweta, I'll restart Hindu classes from the next week on. And it's going to change a little. Surprise. Main lines, important lines. Is anything at all important here? Last line, okay. Apart from natural causes, a variety of human activities lead to soil degradation. The only important part here. Everything else is an explanation of the previous page. And the moment you saw so many numbers, you knew it's barely a justification of how our soil is degrading, right? I don't have to read the justification. I can leave the whole part. Just merely look at some words, Food and Agriculture Organization, state of land, soil and water. We know it's degraded. These numbers add on to the degradation. It shows the severity of the problem. Not an important part. The only important part is, and that too not a very important one, but yet I can mark it as an important line because you think so. Apart from the natural causes, a variety of human activities also. So you can think of natural causes, you can think of human activities. Even if you did not read the remaining paragraph, you can think of it in your head. Natural causes can be soil erosion, floods, landslides, human activities. Obviously, now that we have read the paragraph, we know it's the use of pesticides, insecticides, plastic, and many other things, and many more chemicals going into the soil. So that could be human activities, but ultimately they are adding on to the soil degradation. This line is the only important line in the paragraph. Let's go back to the next page. Important lines here, everyone. Ashita, rather the last line. Simple, very simple. Let me see. Exactly, Tanu. Yes, yes, yes. The need of the hour. Yes, yes, Gitanshi and Tanu, you both are absolutely correct. Now that we know it's degraded, what we have to do now, it's a suggestion coming from the author. Author suggestions are very, very important. So he says the need of the hour is to adopt innovative policies and agroecological practices. So agroecological practices, you can think of what they can be. Innovative policies, maybe cutting edge technology, using it, making our soil better, using modern pesticides, insecticides that don't harm our soil. It could be any kind of policy, any kind of innovation that we can use. This line is the only line that I think that is important. Yes, the only line that's important. You might think this line is an important one, but this line is an explanation of this line, an extension of the idea. So the only important line here is going to be this one. The need of the hour is to deal with the problem through two suggestions given by the author. Let's go to the next page. Manvi, I'll help you. Rather, Manvi, Abhimanyu sir is taking a session at 5 p.m. He's going to address exactly that. Make sure you don't miss out on that session as well. Which line is important here in this page? A healthy planet for healthy children. Okay. First and the fifth line. Fifth is healthy and sustainable food systems. Okay. I think this line till this part is an important one. Which was the name? What was the name of the report? Where was it published? Merely a part of the premise. Does not matter. Exactly. Negative impact. Yes, Ashutosh. That's exactly why I had highlighted that. Stressing the urgent. Yes, Megha. Yes. That first and the last line. Okay. Last line says Sikkim. No. No, 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 no. This line is not important. Only that the situation is severe and we need to reduce our dependency on pesticides and promote policies for healthy and sustainable food system. An example of how we can do that. Smaller states like Sikkim are doing it. One of the first few states that was declared completely organic by our country, right? So what we need to do is this, and that's an important line here. Let's look at the next page. Now, what's the main line here or main lines? Rather, the whole second paragraph, the last three lines, exactly. See, this is useless. I mean, useless in the terms of understanding the passage. Small northeastern states must have done that. What have they done? It's a reiteration of what the author suggests you to do. And he gives you an example of what the northeastern states have done, and we need to follow their track. Okay? Even if I don't pay attention to this part, does it alter my main idea? It doesn't. Northeastern states did that, maybe some other states did that. It's a suggestion coming from the author, which we have already highlighted in the penultimate page. We just need to remember the suggestion. It's an explanation, a justification of the fact that his suggestion is correct. Not needed, absolutely not needed. This whole paragraph works like a conclusion to the page, to the passage. And when we have major conclusions drawn in a passage, we have to be very, very attentive with that, because that will help us identify the gist of the whole passage. It will encompass the entire idea that's mentioned in the whole passage. Now, what was the main idea? If I link all of the lines that we've highlighted, let's go back to the page number 1. What did we learn? We learned that food security is important. We learned that food security is dependent on soil, but our soil condition is in a worrisome state. It's in a bad state. And then we need to do a few things that will stop this degradation. What can we do? We can reduce our dependency on pesticides, insecticides, and have innovative policy and agroecological practices like the northeastern states have done. Okay, that's exactly a repetition here. So ultimately, this is what this whole page talks about. Soil is important. Soil needs to be a sustainable one, and it's important that we prevent the degradation and we ensure food security. So every line that we highlighted, you see that's mentioned in the last paragraph. Every line that we highlighted. Okay? Pratishta, is the official answer key out? I haven't seen that yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't got my hands on it yet. Is it out? Alright. So, after you confirm if it's out or not, I'll give you my suggestions about ALET. So, ultimately, what did we learn here? We learned the fact that to be able to read effectively, specifically for the SLAT paper, we have to skim through the passage, skim through the questions as well. While we skim through the questions, we know exactly what is being asked. See, SLAT has a lot of factual questions. And mostly SLAT picks up passages from the Hindu, the Indian Express. So these are topics that are familiar to you. You look at the questions first and you know what you're supposed to answer. And always skim through the passage. Try to focus on the main idea, the gist of the passage. How do you focus on that? You find out pointers that are important and you see if there's a major conclusion drawn towards the end or not. Usually the first and the last paragraphs are very important. So if you're skimming through the passage, make sure you read the first and the last paragraph thoroughly. Okay? Just now it's out. Okay. Pratishta, see, listen, everyone. Elliot is done. It's done, right? Can you do anything about it? No. We can challenge the answer key? Yes, we could. Can we do anything beyond that? No. One thing we can do is still make it to SLAT. That's there in our hands. Okay? So we right now need to be focusing only and only on the next examination, and that's SLAT. Answer keys, if the answers are ambiguous, we are there to challenge it. You can leave the responsibility on us. We are even more worried than you are. We are going to challenge it for you. So don't fret about it, okay? Let me just figure out the answer key after the session ends. I'll tally it. If there are questions, we'll challenge them. Do not worry about that. Right now, focus on SLAT only. Okay, do I make sense, everyone? Send me a thumbs up very quickly. Okay, so what did we learn? We learned that we need to look at the questions first. We need to focus on the main idea always, and always see SLAT might give us contextual vocabulary questions. There are some questions that come up in it. Always remember the meaning has to be marked according to the sentence. So when you look at the questions first, you know what word you're supposed to find in the passage. Read the questions and then read the passage. I can't do it with you today because my questions also have the answers. I can't show you the questions. I'll show you the next passage. We'll take it as a practice session, okay? And then we're going to be solving it together. All right. So are you ready for the passage, everyone? Ready? Here we go. Let's solve an RC. But before that, did you like the session? Did you share the session? Why do I have to remind you to like the session? Do it right now. Share it right now. Subscribe to the channel right now if you haven't done that yet. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Manmohan. How did your paper go, my child? Let's look at the passage, okay? Send me done when you're done reading it. And tell me if it looks familiar to you. Hi, Anaya. Please read the passage. Yes, Asima, they are going to be happening. Changing the slide. Mm, none that I know of, Suryansh. Changing the slide. No, Suryansh, it hasn't. Manisha, I'll tell you what the source is. I'll tell you. Changing the slide. I don't know, Ananya. Yes, Shreya, please read this. Are we done, everyone? Next page. Shivani, I'll answer that. Yes, Shreya. No, Ananya, that's wrong. Yes, Shivani. Are we done, everyone? There are many questions coming up from your side. I'll answer each one of it. Let's first solve this passage, okay? Otherwise, you'll forget the data that you just read. Let's answer this, okay? And then I'll answer all your questions. What's the correct answer here? Do you want to go back to the passage for the last paragraph? If you want to, you did not follow the technique I taught you in the first paragraph, in the first passage. You did not make a mind map. What's your answer? B, okay. Optimism, okay. All right, Ananya. Others? What's your answer? B, B, B. Everyone says B. Okay. The correct answer is a B. It's a pessimism. He looks at it from a negative point of view. Let's go back to the passage and let me show you the correct answer here. So he says, now the entire passage, what does it talk about? The passage talks about how our country's infrastructure and industries are suffering. When we started off at a very good pace, but now we're in shambles. And I'll not give you more details about the passage because I want you to answer the questions accordingly. Okay, he says probably in 50 years, before the government realizes that pro-business policy is the best pro-people policy, probably we're going to be really far behind. The world is moving so fast, we'll be left behind. That means the writer is not very hopeful about government bringing in positive changes. He is very pessimistic here. The world is moving very fast. We are very slow. We'll be left behind is what he says. Thus, the correct answer has to be pessimism only. Okay, next question, everyone. The writer is surprised at the government's attitude towards its industrialists because Sachin, I'll answer that as well. First, let's do the RC. Nipun, let the examination happen. Only then we can be able to declare the cutoff. See? Exactly. Yes, it is a C. It certainly is a C. Now, let me take you back to the passage. There's a line that he says, I am surprised. Oh. Just a minute. Yes, here it is. That the government actually sheltered its industrialists from the foreign competition is a little strange. He says, why did the government not allow exporting? Why did the government not allow the development and movement of industries outside our country? Why did the government not allow that? It's strange for him. Then he says, in all other respects, the reason was that the government considered the businessmen probably as crooks, and that's why they were prevented from entering the most important area of the economy. And the government did not allow the 1991 globalization, privatization, liberalization. So all of this is before that. I'll tell you the source of the article, okay? The correct answer, by the way, for that question is going to be the government considered the industrialists as crooks. That's the correct answer here. The source of the passage is SLAT 2015 paper. This appeared in SLAT 2015. The passage was written long back before that, but it looks very familiar to us today, right? Let's look at question number 3. According to the writer, India should have performed better than other Asian nations, which India could not. If you remember the example of Korea and China and Japan, we started off better than them, but we could not perform as great as they could. Why? Ashutosh, they certainly can. The whole idea is that after ALED giving us such lengthy papers, SLAT can give us lengthy passages. Please be ready for that. What is it? Yes, it's a B. Is it? Adequate infrastructure or better infrastructure? They had better infrastructure, not adequate. Okay? It had better politicians. No, there's no information about politicians being good. Rather, the whole passage says the politicians were bad. He's not bad, but he's unhappy. I'll show you the line where the correct answer is mentioned. Let me take you back. Okay, so we are walking backwards. Where is South Korea? Yes. Okay, so here we go. It began with a far better infrastructure than most of these countries had. Yet, these countries are advanced than us, even if we had better infrastructure. So, it's a factual answer clearly written in the passage. It does not talk about politicians being good. It does not talk about adequate infrastructure, but better infrastructure. Okay. So, correct answer is a B here. Next question, everyone. Question number 4. I just showed you the answer. The same paragraph had the answer that I had highlighted. Ashutosh, you know the answer. Yeah, that's a D. Exactly. The very next line after good infrastructure, better infrastructure said that we did not suffer from the Second World War. We had English speaking population. We had good business sense. Yet we suffered. So both, according to us, we did not export anything. We just got over from an independence fight. We did not export anything. The Britishers took away everything that we had. It's only this, A and B. Okay, next. Question number 5. Easy. I've already answered this question. What's the answer? Critical, ironical, sarcastic, derisive. D. Okay, let me tell you the meaning of all the words. Critical is finding flaws. Okay. Ironic is you expected something else happened. Sarcastic is mocking. Derisive also is mocking. See, the entire passage is based on the main idea that the government did it wrong. The politicians did it wrong. Okay, the correct answer here has to be a critical tone. It's a critical tone. the derisive and sarcastic tone may be close. Derisive because it's finding faults, but it's finding faults in a very mocking way. He's not mocking them. He's saying you did it wrong. You just failed miserably by not allowing your industrialists to go out and other industries to come in. We could not compete with the world because we were focusing on self-sufficiency. Okay, so it's critical, absolutely criticizing the politicians and the policies that we had. Question number 6. Now, why did we open after 1991, 1990? Why did we allow the entire economy to be open? Glenn, there's no difference. They are synonymous. Okay, let me show you a line. Okay, then we can decide the answer later on. Here. Okay, read this line. Read this and then we'll go back to the passage. Question. A lot of you have got the answer though. We decided we are self-sufficient. We don't need any export, any import. No, we are self-sufficient. But then we did not have any foreign exchange. Right? And then we did not have any funds for a public sector. Where will the money come from? They said, okay, open the gates. We need foreign exchange. We need funding. Let everybody else come in. FDIs, privatization, liberalization. So the correct answer here has to be, a lot of you guessed it correct. Foreign exchange, we were bankrupt. We did not have any foreign exchange. And funds with the government was meager. They wanted to expand, but they just could not survive because they had no funds. We were self-sufficient. Here we go. Correct answer is a C. Yeah, it's a C, not all of the above. Shri, I don't have that, my child. I don't have it. Yes, she'll. So our video team will share it on the Telegram channel. Question number 7. The major reason for India's poor performance. What's the correct answer here? Major reason for a poor performance. What should the answer be? Tanu, use your mind. It's economic isolationism. Just a minute, let me show you back to the page. There's one line that clearly says that our economy was isolated. No import allowed, no export allowed. Don't compete with the market. We are self-sufficient. The moment the author says we were isolated, this is exactly what went wrong. So our poor performance, we're still left behind. We are unable to compete with the world. Our technology is old, outdated because we were isolated before 91. We did not allow any imports, exports, no foreign exchange possible. And because of this economy being isolated from rest of the world, we suffered. Correct answer is going to be an A here. Not economic mismanagement or inefficient industry. Our industry was very, very efficient. You remember the author praised that industry, we had industry sense, we had business sense, we had better infrastructure than most of them, yet we failed. So it cannot be C for sure. It's isolationism. Okay. So our correct answer here is a All right. Okay. So that is all for today's class. Now, a lot of questions came up, ma'am. This passage looks familiar to me. It appeared in CLAT 2015. Ma'am, Will such long passages come in the examination? Yes, they can. Please be prepared. Please give 2 minutes into scanning the paper. What kind of paper have they emerged with? They can absolutely change the pattern. Has a new pattern been announced by them? No, they haven't announced a new pattern. Ma'am, what will be the pattern? The current idea is that they'll have 4 passages and there'll be questions on them. But these could be long passages, these could be short passages, these could be more passages or more grammar questions. We don't know what's going to happen. What we assume is according to what has appeared in the last 2-3 years of paper. Any more questions about, okay, time bifurcation, sectional time wise? Abhimanyu sir is going to take a class in the next 10 minutes at 5, which he is going to talk about this in detail. Make sure you watch that session live as well. That's very good, Sneha. I'm very proud of you. So everyone, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Make sure you press on the bell icon and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the session, share the session, and follow us on Facebook, Telegram, download our app on Google Play, and that is it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very, very good day. All the very best. I shall probably not see you before SLAT anymore. All the very best, everyone. Give your best shot. Do not worry about ALET answer keys. We're there to handle it. Chill and work hard for SLAT. God bless you, everyone. Have a very good day.